Jan van Groningen, Chief Technology Officer for ABN AMRO.
So Maarten Spit, ABN AMRO, Head of Design and Engineering. So Jan, we talk about cloud a lot. What is a cloud for us?
For me, a cloud is not only a public cloud. Azure is obviously a public cloud, but also our private cloud is for me a cloud. And even our mainframe, which is also a virtualized environment, is for me also a cloud. And a SaaS solution is basically also a cloud. So that's why I see what we do as a hybrid or as a kind of multi-cloud environment.
So when we started our cloud transformation journey 3 or 4 years back, we actually were in that rigid model. And I think the cloud was a way to get out of there, right? As an application team, be able to manage the stack yourself and have more autonomy. So we had a lot of SaaS, we had Amazon there, we had Azure there, we had on-prem, we had our on-prem legacy. There was simply too much. So I think for us, if you talk about cloud chaos, it was a bit of the situation we were in, right? So technical complexity also led to reconsidering a bit of the candy shop. So there were so many great things possible, and we did, and we tried. And was it all beneficial? Well, maybe for learning, but maybe not so much for the full 100%.
What for me was also a big reflection moment was we have set up the first versions of the cloud platform, and then teams were allowed to volunteer in leaps to migrate their applications. And on a certain moment, we had 200 teams driving a cloud migration, or the big replatforming had started, but was never ending. So the flow in that stream that teams were starting their migration was huge, and it was only dripping out that were actually migrated and getting their application successful on the public cloud. And for me, that was also a reflection moment. What are we doing? Why these teams? Why are teams with maybe difficult technological remediations to do? Why do we allow them in this process? For me, that was also a big moment that shaped my thinking on what we were actually doing.
I think that's at least something I've learned or we've learned together. This is not a final, full transformation.
I think we had a click quickly when we met each other, and then you were still outside the team and you had a certain ambition. Then you came into the team, and I've got a really good feeling on how we work together. I'm a bit the dinosaur and you're a little bit the pit bull, right? I've got more experience, you have more expertise and knowledge about this kind of environments. If we have our yelling sessions behind the whiteboard in my room, Maarten, on are we going left or are we going right? Always when I'm in my car, I have this consideration. How does a small pit bull get a big dinosaur down? Is having its teeth in its ankle for a long time, right? That's how we work together, right? So I really enjoy it.
I try to be your conscious from time to time, Jan, a bit. So you're
my painful conscious.
Painful conscious.
What happens if I'm not right?
Then you're still right, Jan. Yeah.
There have been applications we've moved to the cloud where I think in combination with limited skills of the teams, they have not become faster, but stayed at the same speed or maybe even became slower. While other teams have really benefited if they had the skills and their application fitted DevOps and was relatively cloud ready or cloud native.
We did the DevOps transformation, so we turned teams into DevOps teams. We did a cloud migration and not a lift and shift, but a re-platforming or modernization of the application. And we did an extension of the scope to the teams. So apart from working DevOps as an operating model, we also said to the teams, now you're responsible for the underlying technology, right?
In combination with that, we had that choice that everything needs to move from private cloud to public cloud. And the combination with that it is a big cost saving, it's really derailed our program a little bit. And I think the changes that we are making now to focus more on value-based selection, select those applications where you make them really DevOps and you move them to the public cloud.
I think in the past it was a full push to cloud, moved most of the workloads there, and now we are in this reality check and more assessing the angles we really feel important when it comes down to business drivers.
Some applications become more expensive while others had tremendous savings, and we need to cut that line, which ones really need to go to public cloud or which one need to stay on another cloud.
Because in the past, I think that muscle was not so trained within ABN AMRO. We were always protected by the infrastructure, by the box we had, and now being on the cloud, the teams had the ability to scale up and do so, and they did. And I think while the infrastructure cost was rising and rising, that led to a reflection moment. Okay, do we really want this? And how would we end up after 5 years if we continue with that? So we analyzed, why are the costs going up? Do we, as an organization, understand how to implement cost control and cost management for a cloud?
But you brought up something very valuable in the organization by setting a platform placement and exit strategy, where you have come up with a limited set of platforms that we are supporting.
Yeah. So if you talk about cloud chaos, that is the situation we were in, I guess. So we have a brownfield situation, we have legacy applications, older applications, newer applications. 90% of them benefit on a cloud, and it doesn't really matter which cloud it is. We saw a lot of complexity with having all of those clouds. Our data needs to be there, it needs to all be connected. An application on Amazon needs to go to an application, connect to an application on Azure, to on-prem, to SaaS. We have a lot of SaaS in our... It's really complex in getting into cloud smart. We can't afford all of the complexity of all those clouds. Maybe an interesting point to mention, what we have learned, Azure or Amazon or whatever hyperscaler out of the box is not a financial cloud. You need to configure that yourself. We've learned that the hard way, you could say.
Public cloud is not a platform.
Exactly. And certainly not a financial, an FI platform.
I'm going to make a t-shirt to sell that statement, right? So.
Yeah. So what we've done is build wrappers around the products, and we call it a secure context. So we know for sure that the application using the platform services are secure, right? And we spent quite some effort in that.
And invest quite some money in it.
Exactly.